Okay, I just wanted to go over the second half of the graphs in the chapter. We did go over this in class, but I know that a few students were absent and they wanted to kind of just hear my lecture again at home. So please make sure you're reading along too, because that will also help you understand. So we looked at the marginal cost of pollution, and we also have looked at the marginal cost of pollution abatement. And so the previous video discusses those two. If we take both of those lines and we put them on the same graph, we have our red line representing marginal cost of pollution. Green is the marginal cost of pollution abatement. Remember, abatement, this is the cost to stop polluting. Now, what we can do when we put these two lines on the same graph is we can identify the economically optimum amount of pollution. So right where these two lines intersect, go down, this is the optimum amount of pollution that economists say an industry or a company should pollute. They don't want to pollute any less than this line. They also don't want to pollute any more than this line. If they pollute less, it means it's costing them too much to pollute so little. It's not economically worth it for them. If they pollute more, its cost to society is probably too high. So the pollution in society is too high. So it's costing too much for them to continue to pollute this much. So they should pollute less. Trying to give examples of both. So you saw this in class. We can use our lake example behind the football field. We can say that with this situation, that there's so much pollution going into that lake that it deters people from going to the football game. So because it's so polluted, it's so close to the football field, it deters people. There's too much pollution there. We're not polluting at the optimum amount. So what happens is that the school loses money because parents and teachers and community members don't want to come to our football game because it's just disgusting. So it would make sense and it would be beneficial for us to pollute less into that lake. Or we could say to have the lake cleaned up so that there's less pollution to get to that optimum amount. The opposite of this would be if we have our lake behind Spanish River and it has been cleaned up so much, but it costs a lot of money. We're spending so much money to keep the lake pristine. So we'll say I don't know, Ms. Castellano, she decides that she's going to clean up the lake and she spends so much money that we don't have money for, I don't know, textbooks, things that we need. So in this situation, it makes sense for us or for her to allow there to be some more pollution in the lake, to be at that optimum amount, because it's just costing her too much to pollute so little. So that's why we need to be at the optimum amount. Our economists say we should be around that optimum amount. Now, on this graph, which is on page 35 in your book, it is showing us the excess pollution, that these two lines should be equal. We should come up with our optimum amount of pollution. But what's happening in society is that we are polluting more than we really should be. So this is our private marginal cost of pollution. It's like the internal cost. It's really where we think we should be polluting, but we're not including the harmful effects to society. So here's our societal marginal cost of pollution. And to society, we should be polluting here. So we have excess pollution that goes into the environment. And in other words, this is the negative externality or the external cost that's being polluted. So we want to gap this. We want to have this excess pollution not going into our environment. And we talked about in class, one way is either by environmental taxes or also known as green taxes. We talked about that with the price of gasoline in Germany. So it is going to merge these two lines to reduce the amount of excess pollution. Now this isn't perfect, but this is what we would like as environmentalists, is to kind of make these two lines equal to each other. So I hope that helped a little bit, and happy studying.